Music has surrounded me my entire life. Back when I was going through CDs and my dad's like giant 300 CD changer, or the live videos I would see on VH1, MTV. So he even had DVDs of some concert footage. And pretty soon you got Guitar Hero coming out, exposing you to all kinds of music that I never would have heard before. Rocksmith comes along, and so there's even more music and high-night coordination, fun stuff to just work with all the time. Eventually, I took that Rocksmith cable, I plugged it into my computer with Audacity, and just started recording whatever came to mind. And I thought, oh, well, I have been writing music on a ukulele. Why not put it to acoustic? So I put it to acoustic. Like, why not make it electric? So I did Bob Dylan at Woodstock, and I go electric. And before you know it, I got a giant backlog on SoundCloud. I got stuff out on Spotify, and I've even started working remote with other people to keep making more production. There is some things in particular, a lot of stuff from Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, especially Spyro. There's some kind of mysticism to it of this music I wouldn't normally hear around. Something a bit more, per se, tribal. It's already some questionable portrayals of people in the first Crash Bandicoot game. But then definitely the fantastical, mystical sounds of the Spyro soundtrack as well. It showed me that there was stuff that I had never heard before, that was somewhere outside the scheme of what I knew. And that was a great push towards, I would go around on the iTunes store and just be like, what's some new stuff in a genre that I haven't found before? On Pandora, like, okay, I'm keep like disliking everything I ever heard on Pandora until I found new stuff. One of the strangest ones I came across, honestly, that changed things was Vaporwave. This way of everyone taking old music and just completely recycling it and making brand new stuff, and as also as a jumping off point for other projects entirely. I gotta say, Spyro, kind of a dinky little guy, you know, but Crash can spin his body at I don't know how many miles per hour and also not break all of his limbs. Like, you know how like the Spartan armor, you need to be superhuman to use it, or else the speed will just like break your entire arm. Yeah, I feel like Crash would win. The way that you design and run events, different productions, to facilitate music or anything else to even happen, that's been very interesting to me as of late. A lot of growing up, watching YouTube or movies, there gets to a point where you start to ask, like, what's going on behind the scenes? How do you get up to that point? And then being in the music scene here in San Marcos, I realized I had the opportunity to do something with that. I remember when I was starting out trying to find music, it took me years to get shows, to meet people, to find a scene. Now that I'm in it, every time I meet a new person, I want to be running those events. I want to be bringing people in. I want to go up straight up, say, hi, what do you play? Get on that stage right now. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter if you played before. I don't care if it's your first performance. If you're willing, get up there, show us what you got, and I want to hear it. The biggest push really was Maddie Ava. I love Maddie so much. Mommy. When I got here to town, it took me like a year before I finally like stepped out of my apartment, really. It was just like, what's going on here? There was a place, used to be a place now, called X8 Drums. And I found out there was a show there with Elephant Ears and a few other artists. And I actually ran into somebody from a smoke shop I went to who was like, oh yeah, so they're actually playing a show at the Davenport next week. So I go to that Davenport show. Zach from Elephant Ears recognizes me from Instagram. So he says, oh, go to the flea market at Wonderworld. So go to the flea market at Wonderworld. And I meet some people like the guys from Kenny Normal and such. Then I found out there's a show at Jack's Roadhouse. So I go to Jack's Roadhouse. And it's a whole new set of people. But the really important one was Maddie Ava. Maddie had just started Ava Productions, and I'm telling her about it. Like, I'm a musician, I want to be doing some stuff, I want to meet some people. So she told me to go to the Martian Talent Show. So at the show, I just bring a laptop of backing tracks with some of my songs, and I play a set. I'm wearing one of my gaudy little outfits, and she was immediately like, let's get you booked. And from there, it's history. Tiny Gremlin Man was a song that came about very organically, or say on accident, either way you want to put it. I came home from work, and when I opened the door, Butterball's already crying behind the door, Butterball's my cat. So I open the door, and he's there, and he's laying out, and he wants love and attention. You've been gone this whole time, Father, where have you been? I just immediately start singing to him, and I'm just like, oh, tiny gremlin man. I kept making stuff up after that about how he's a tiny gremlin man. I want to hold his hand. I want to kiss his head. Tell me about your secret evil plan. He was also really annoying every time he was hungry. Like 2 hours before his feeding time, he would start like batting on just anything to make noise because he knew it got he knew it got on my nerves. That one was always going to be a hit because as soon as I posted the first snippet, I had a bunch of friends that were like, when are you dropping this? When are you dropping this? I want to hear this song. And it's still like the only one that people come up to me and actually know pretty much. It's my cherry pie, I guess. TKO is about my journey with mental health, my own personal mental health. I just didn't have access to those kind of resources growing up generally. But in college, once I did have the access, I was like seeing some therapists and I had a psychiatrist for the first time. The understanding, the feeling of just being able to explain everything without judgment and just have some great advice to come afterward from someone who's studied all of that. TKO actually came about starting off with where I met a guy on Halloween who wanted to do a collaboration together. I think he said Shawn Mendes was like an influence of his. So I'm looking over some Shawn Mendes stuff, and you got your classic like 1, 4, 5, 6 type chord progression combinations going there. So I did something that was, pretty pop standard, but I did a little bit of tweaking to make it my own. And I was like, well, before I send this over to him, what if I added some electronic drums? So I add the electronic drums. What if I got a little quirky with it and added some synths somewhere here? What if I layered on some other electric guitars? And it just kept building and building until it became like one of the few electronic songs I've ever produced. But it was just a splaying out of a lot of the things I was dealing with, a lot of the things I was thinking about, and then all coming down together with just like, hey, Mr. Psychiatrist, give me a pill to lift this mist, this brain fog I have. This one, I specifically saw it on Craigslist. $300. Some guy would just like hand built it, like a parts caster of sorts. I love this thing. It's actually on like most of the recordings I have released on Spotify and such, like my EP, Melancholy and Hopefulness, and also Speaking with Tongues. This one, my Explorer, I got this off Craigslist for like $200 when I first moved to Texas. It was very grimy, so dirty, and I had to replace parts over time, but this is like one of my mainstays for performances live recently. There's a Bill Kelleher signature lace pickups in here as well, because I love Mastodon, and he plays an Explorer in that band. This is the most recent one. I posted about it before saying that I'm truly a Texan musician now, because I was going around some music shops in New Braunfels and just trying to find some stuff I needed. And when I was leaving, someone was trying to pawn this off to Guitar Center. And all I could see was the headstock. It was basically just like all I could see there. And I asked, hey, let me see that. And so he pulls it up, and it's exactly the kind of thing I've been looking for. It's just ridiculous, like over the top already. And I've been wanting to switch from like all silver to also adding some gold to my wardrobe. So having matching stuff like this is exactly what I'm looking for. In order to pay for it, I need to go to the ATM. The closest ATM was at Buc-ee's. So I bought this guitar at Buc-ee's, basically. And it's definitely going to be at all my future shows, for sure.